Good morning and welcome, Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason live on this Tuesday. Yeah, one more week, 7 days left in February. And I got to tell you, earnings season rolling out for the retailers today. Not going well so far. We've heard from Home Depot. We've heard from Walmart, amongst others. Neither one of them great. I'll say this, Home Depot's been a stud. Right, they haven't missed an earnings report in like 4 years, and that streak came to an end today. They missed pretty badly. Bad guidance from Home Depot. Walmart beat the number, but of course Walmart did a lot of ratcheting down expectations. But they beat the number. But Jason, they gave bad guidance, and again, both retailers saying the same thing. Hey, man. You know, the customer's kind of on the brink.
that's the part of the core that they count, which is the stuff, right? And but you know who's going to buy the stuff when you can barely buy the food and the rent and the energy, right?
So, yeah, exactly. 800-951-0592, allamericangold.com is the website. Of course, the physical delivery of wealth insurance, gold and silver, and I'm sticking to my guns. It's going to be a big year. It is going to be a big year here because, again, you don't normally have what we have. They screwed it all up. They printed way too much money. They've been running. They call it all. We got all these different tools. So really the same tool, just different ways of printing money, right? Think about it. Well, we can add to the debt, right? That's our federal government, right? Now we're going to have $2, $3, $4 trillion deficits every year. And that's best case scenario. Then we could have, we'll lower interest rates. Well, when that wasn't enough, right? Lowering interest rates to zero wasn't enough. Hey, we'll have quantitative easing. Okay, well, you called that a different tool. But really, what is that? Well, it's just more money printing. And then you have all the repo auctions that are happening. They happen every day now, right? Well, what's that? Well, it's another tool. Well, it's just a debt instrument, right? Just creating money out of thin air. And when you look back at the history of rate hikes and rate cuts, you don't see the Federal Reserve raising rates when you've got Walmart and Home Depot saying things are slowing down. But we have no choice, Jason, because, well, when you use that debt instrument for like 50 years in a row, eventually, guess what? You get massive inflation, and that's kind of what we're seeing. And really, when you think about it, I would say if you said, "Hey, who are the bellwethers of retail?" I think Walmart and Home Depot really probably are the two biggest. Right? They kind of set the standard. Right? Walmart is your hey. This is buying food. This is buying the basic necessities. These are people that I'm price conscious, and then of course Home Depot. Well, that's your construction industry. That's a big in construction, landscaping, right? Home improvement, all of that stuff. These are two big industries. I mean, if there was a third, probably be Costco, right? You throw those three in, that gives you a really good idea of what the consumer's doing.
Yeah, Joe, and it's not a surprise because just since last year. Even last year, I remember Joe and I we talk before the show many times and. It's been going on since the middle of 2022. Don't have money. People are running out of money. And yes, you're going to pay your energy. And yes, you're going to pay your rent. And you're going to buy food, right? You have to buy those things. The super core. We'll have to talk more about the super core. But yeah, people don't have money beyond that. Why would you go to a home improvement store if you can't barely buy the groceries, right, Joe?
Yeah, and again, we got to remember they're creating new terms for us, right? First, it was transitory inflation, which transitory inflation just meant, hey, we've got inflation, but we don't want to deal with it, right? That's what that turned out to be, right? That just blew up in their face. Then they came up with, what was it at the last meeting? I forget, Jason. It's escaping me.
Disinflation.
Disinflation, which apparently that was just made up. Apparently, it was disinflation until we actually plugged in the real numbers, and then the disinflation went away. And then the CPI now, we always had, the headline CPI number, and then the core number. Yeah. When they like the core, the core is their favorite number. And of course I laughed. I'm like, well, why do you think it's their favorite? Oh, let's look. What is the lowest number? Oh, I see. It just happened to be the core. Well, when the core's not low enough, hey guys, let's create a new one. Let's call it the super core. And let's take out all the food. Let's take out all the energy. And you know what? Let's just take away all the shelter too, right? So if you were homeless, then the super core CPI, well, that number is even lower, right? That's a little bit lower. So congratulations, I guess. And I'll tell you right now, I don't talk to many homeless people, but my guess is the homeless people don't feel like inflation's low, Jason. That's just my guess.
I agree with that. Peter Schiff had a fun one. He brought back transitory. He said, inflation going down those last few months, that was just transitory. The inflation is roaring back, and our lower inflation, that was just transitory. So it's kind of cool to fight back with their own words against them, Joe.
I got to tell you what, we got a great show lined up for you. Got a really, really super cool special coming for you as well. And then when we get back, I hate to do it, but we got to talk housing. Existing home sales came out. Guess what it was? $800-951-0592. Joe and Jason, Patriot Radio News Hour. The Dow is down 500 points right now. The S&P is down 60. The Nasdaq's down 220. Gold's down $4 here, 1836. Silver's higher today. Silver's up almost 20 cents here, $21.90. And I got to point out the 10-year note, 393. Jason, getting awfully close to being back above 4% and heading higher. That's going to have huge effects on the housing market. We'll get to that in a minute. That market recap brought to you by our friends at Y-Refi. You don't have to worry, right? Dow's down 500. Walmart came out, said the consumer's in trouble. Home Depot's like, hey, listen, we don't think we're going to have positive sales growth in 2023, and the Fed's hiking rates. Hey, you don't have to worry. You can lock your rate in up to 10.25%, and it's guaranteed every month. I don't care. Dow can go down 5,000 points. You're good. You're covered. You got to have 50,000. We talked about this. You guys know this. And of course, you can use an existing IRA. Some of you could get lucky enough and be able to use your 401k. Check them out. InvestYRefi.com. That's the word invest, the letter Y, REFY.com, or 888-Y-REFI24. And really quickly, my son Joey, we had him on yesterday. He sent me a little note because he wanted people to know, Vanguard yesterday said average 401k balances were down 20+%. Jason, the thing they didn't say, because it was actually down more than that, because they said the average balance was down 20+%, but people were contributing to their 401ks on top of it. So, if you went from 100,000 to 80,000, you're like, oh man, I lost 20%. But if you put another $8,000 or $10,000 into it, hey, you were down a whole lot more than that. Make sure you got someone like Joey watching out. If you got a 401k, he's the only call you need to make. He'll at least get it to where you don't take those big losses. 602-909-9048, because that's going to allow you to get more gold and silver put away. Jason, before we get into housing, because we got to talk housing now. So we got Not great news from Walmart, not great news from Home Depot. And really I don't want to say the sales numbers were bad. Home Depot was a miss, but it was what the CEOs had to say in the conference call, which is, hey, we're seeing it. Customers getting tapped, right? They're out of bucks, right? They're spending less, right? The average ticket is coming down, and this is one of these things that we've been waiting for and worrying about. We'll see how it breaks down, but I've got two really unique opportunities. We talk a lot about the digital currency that's coming. Everybody out there, is telling you about what gold's going to do this year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. Some people, yesterday it was speculated that could we see a massive revaluation of gold with the digital money to offset those debts? We got to keep that in mind. But here's what we've got. I've got two different ways to play this. There's two packages. Each package, and I'm going to hold it up here. Each package is going to have 3 1/10 ounce American Gold Eagles in it. You get 3 of these, and it's really the golden dime, and it's a 1/10 of an ounce of gold. In this package, they're $250. Go online, check it out. Believe me, we're super, super, super competitive at $250. You get 3 of those. I have one package. I only have 14. You get 3 1/10 ounce American Gold Eagles, and then you're going to get a roll of BU quarters. BU, brilliant uncirculated quarters. Everywhere I looked online, they want 260, 280, 300. As I told you, Jason, I tell you all the time, we're not like these other dealers out there. They cherry pick and take out all the good coins in your junk silver rolls. We don't do that. Rolls of silver quarters are 200. In this package, I've got 14 packages that roll of quarters is going to be BU quarters. And I'll just tell you right now, we're the cheapest in the country by far on those BU quarters at $200. So that one package is $950. $950, and we only have 14 of those. The other package, it's unlimited. You get 3 of the golden dimes, the 1/10 ounce gold eagles, and then you're going to get a roll of $half. Now, these are not BU $half. These are going to be circulated. We've got, by the way, this roll here. I just had Brittany. I said, Brittany, just grab me a roll out of the vault. There was 1 Kennedy in it. Most of the rolls you get, a lot of these cheaper ones, they're going to be all Kennedys. By the way, that Kennedy in this roll was BU. Just got lucky. But it was full of Franklins and Walkers. We got several bags of mostly Franklins and Walkers. Jason, most of these guys, they want $300 for Franklins and Walkers. $220 here. So you got 2 packages. The BU quarter, $950. You get 1 roll of 40 BU quarters, 3 1/10 ounce American Gold Eagles. The other package is $970. You get the 3 1/10 ounce gold eagles, and then the roll of $half. Those $half aren't BU, but Jason, they're really good looking stuff.
Yeah. $half carry that little heavier premium. Even though they have the same amount of silver in a roll as 2 rolls of dimes or a roll of quarters, essentially. I find it interesting, Joe, is silver just more and more buying takes place, and we know later this year, next year, it's just going to get crazy the amount of buying that's going to happen for the physical. And I'm just waiting, Joe. One of these days you'll see it because the $half they get that higher premium over quarters. One of these days, I think you'll see the quarter premiums go up, start inching above the dimes, because it's just people want those bigger coins. And I mean, how many years has it been, Joe? I mean, it used to be that you could take 2 silver $half to the bank and get yourself a silver dollar. I can't even remember the last time you could buy half dollars for the same price as silver dollars. Silver dollar premiums are just higher. That's just the way it is with Morgan and piece dollars. So if you can get half dollars at a good price, or you get BU quarters, which is stunning for the price on those 14 individual specials, this is a good way to get in this for some inexpensive gold and silver today, Joe.
It's a great deal, and I'll just, if it was me, this is just me, I probably buy the BU quarters, at least one of those to go with the halves, because when I buy silver, especially junk silver, I like to buy the half dollars because as Jason said, man, when silver goes, those half dollars really shoot up there. But BU quarters, you don't see that very often. Most of them are 63s, 64s, or 62s. I actually saw one roll had some coins from the 40s, the Washington quarters from the 40s in it. So again, like I said, we don't separate anything. We don't pull out. We don't cherry pick. We don't overprice. 950 on the BU quarters, 970 on the roll of half dollars. In each of those packages, you get 3 1/10 ounce American Gold Eagles at 800-951-0592. And if you were on our YouTube channel, we are holding those coins up for you. Jason, we had existing home sales come out. So it started with Home Depot. Then Walmart came out. So the Dow was down about 150. Then Home Depot comes out. It was down about 220, 230. Then Walmart came out. Next thing you know, the Dow's down 350. Then existing home sales came out. And now the Dow's down 500. Existing home sales dropped to a more than 12-year low. Jason, their official number is saying 4 million units, and I think it actually came in at 3 million and change, and that is so low. According to the National Association of Realtors out there, this is the lowest number since October 2010. This is the 12th straight monthly decline. To give perspective, you know, the last time that happened, Y2K was the last time. Of course, what happened right after Y2K? Oh, that's right. It was the tech bubble crash, wasn't it? Another good, hey, just a sign, just another one of those indicators, right, of what could we expect. Sales fell in the Northeast, the Midwest. We're up slightly in the South and the West. And I will tell you this, because I live in the West. We live in the West. Sales did pop for about 2 weeks in early January, right after Christmas. It is stopped. I'm telling you right now, it has been a dead stop out there. Sales year over year down almost 40%. And now, Jason, here's the problem. Interest rates are going back up again. That's really been the problem. We got down to like right about 6% on a 30-year. Now we're going to be looking at 6.5 and really probably 6 3/4, because now the 10-year note's getting ready to crest 4%.
Yeah, George, it's happening. So we've been speaking about this stuff for a while now. It's just every month. And here we are in 2023. We're getting ready to hit March, and you're starting to see, the results of this inflation and the results of the rate hikes actually happening. And it's just not happening all at once. Everyone thinks, when you hear the word crash, I think everyone just, hey, in 1929, the market crashed all on one day. And that's not what it is. I mean, this is a significant day. It used to be not even just 15, 20 years ago. You had a 524 point down day on the Dow. That would have been mass chaos. Now they've sort of conditioned people to accept 500 point down days. That's a normal thing that should happen. And so, Joe, every day, more layoffs coming from this guy or coming from that company. And then you're starting to see people don't have money. So what? Well, people aren't going to buy houses. Well, who's going to buy a house when you have your 3 or 4% mortgage? You can't even move into a bigger or even a smaller house. You move into the smaller house, it's going to cost you just as much every month, right, Joe? Because the interest rates are so high. So So the housing market
I'm
is
going to say
freezing
this,
up.
right? So number of homes on the market up 2.1%. This was the January number. Wait till February. I think February it's going to be huge. By the way, 15.3% more homes on the market this January than last January. And again, we're starting to get up to, and I'll just say this, the vast majority of the sales. So if you're got your house for sale, if you don't sell it in the first 30 days, it's not looking real good for you. The vast majority of the sale of the homes that did sell were on the market for 33 days. And again, that's one of the bigger numbers now. But they said, hey, if you don't sell it within that first 30 or 40 days, there's a good chance, Jason, it's going to sit there for a while.
And this could snowball, Joe, because the slowing of the buying is happening, and then what happens is sometimes people panic sell. It's like, well, I was going to sell in 6 months, but maybe I should just sell right now. I got a better shot, and then you suddenly have a snowballing effect of people trying to sell and they can't. And Joe, we were talking this morning off air about the rents. That in your area, rents is far less than the buying price, the mortgage price, or But who knows, Joe? I mean, how you gonna be able to sell your house to get that low rent price, right?
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that when we return. Patriot Radio News Hour. (800-951-0592). Joe and Jason, Patriot Radio News Hour. We've got the two packages with 3 1/10-ounce American Gold Eagles. One of the packages has a roll of 40 BU quarters. We only have 14 of those. I will tell you this, we're priced below everybody. That package is $950. We have a second package. You get the same 3 1/10-ounce American Gold Eagles. You get a roll. These are going to be circulated VG plus, and really most of them well above circulated, but we'll say circulated because there's some circulated in there, but most of them are VG plus or better $50. Those packages, I have an unlimited amount of, I can probably do 200-300 of those packages. I'm not unlimited, but I got a lot of those at $970. So you can mix them, you can match them. The first one, though, those BU quarters, there's only 14 of those at 800-951-0592. The losses on Wall Street accelerating here a little bit. The Dow is now down 550 points. The S&P is down 66. The Nasdaq's now down 250 points. Gold's down just under $4 at $18.37. Silver's up 20 cents at $21.92. And Jason, we're talking about housing here in Phoenix and Arizona anyway. We haven't seen a lot of the big price cuts. What we're seeing is inventory now stacking up. The amount of houses that have hit the market in the last 30 days. This report that we talked about today, it's old. The market was actually a little better in January. It's gotten much worse in February because not a lot of buying and a lot more inventory. Everyone's got them all priced real high, but they're not selling. And again, how many $1 million buyers are there, right? I mean, there's just not that many of them, especially when you've got a mortgage rate now that, Jason, I think very soon here, we're going to be back to that 7% number. And you're talking about payments at $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month for a $1.2 to a $1.5 million home. That dog's not going to hunt out there. And right now, everything's kind of sitting. And I think everyone's kind of waiting for that other shoe to drop.
Yeah, I think the last thing you said is the biggest part, which is the affordability of, can you qualify for the loan and afford the payment? And I'll bet, Joe, if this keeps going, which to me, I think this thing is going to keep going all of the rest of this year. I'll bet you'll start hearing people talk about the 40-year mortgage. I mean, there's always been whispers of the 40-year mortgage being a real thing.
Haven't
And I know
heard
some
that
people
in
are
a
actually
while.
able to get those.
Yeah.
But that's coming, Joe. Isn't that coming? That's the only way you can buy $1 million house, get a 40-year mortgage.
That would be, you know what? I will tell you right now. I think that would have to be it. Otherwise, we're going to see, because here's the problem. There's a certain percentage of the people out there with these homes that are for sale that have to sell, right? I'm moving. I'm being relocated, right? Or, hey, you know what? I got laid off. We can't afford it, right? We've got to downsize. Maybe it was my parents' home and they're older and they just can't do the upkeep and we got to sell it. Those are the ones that need to put it on the money. And that's when you're going to see, this is the problem. You can really see, because, I'm out there looking, my wife and I are out there looking, and we're kind of laughing because we're like, dude, you're 25, 30% too high. Especially with these, right? You're trying, and I get it. You're like, but hey, we're priced where everybody else is priced. And guess what? A year and a half ago, you would have sold it at that price because the mortgage rate was 3%. It's not going to sell this time. And I think that's what we're going to wait for, is when are we going to start seeing the big drops in price? At least here in Arizona, I haven't seen it. What I have seen is a lot of Airbnbs have started hitting the market, because it hasn't, I think we've gotten oversaturated with Airbnbs, right? People don't have the money. Hey, I don't have the money to fly to Arizona. Plane tickets are expensive. Rental cars are expensive. We don't have the money. We're seeing a lot of that. And I will say this, at least in the houses, I don't know about the apartments, but the single family housing rental market has definitely started to cool down. Some people are like, okay, if I can't sell it, I got to cover the mortgage. Let me rent it for what my mortgage payment was. And you're seeing houses that used to be getting $5,000 a month coming down to $4,000 or $3,800 a month, just trying to get somebody in it.
That's right, Joe. And housing is kind of in a catch-22, the same as the Fed. The Fed, you got to raise rates because they got to stop inflation. But if they stop raising the rates or even lower the rates and start printing money, then the inflation gets worse. So the Fed is really at the end of this Ponzi scheme. There's not a lot of good moves. With housing, I think prices are going to drop, but I don't know how low the housing prices could drop. We might see a 6-month, 18-month, 24-month period where a lot of houses just go empty. Because what are you going to do? I mean, the cost of making a brand new house, it's not going down. Builders aren't going to sell houses for less than they make it. So there's going to be some tough things going to be happening. And I think we'll see a lot of ups and downs in the housing market as far as inventory, about price, renting price. And I'm telling you, Joe, if this goes where I think it's going, where we're going to have, inflation at 4% or 5% a year, that'll be the new normal in the future, right? Well, then I guess the 50-year mortgage might become the new norm, Joe, because you will own nothing to be happy. Because if you're mortgaged out, you don't really own your house, right, Joe? You're kind of leasing to own, right? And you have to fix all the things that break. You're
renting just differently. They're at least you get some equity out of it. Hopefully, it's interesting because this isn't unprecedented. I know some people are talking, come on, that's crazy. It's not. Look at automobiles. I mean, you couldn't go back to the 70s, early 80s. A new car loan was 3 years. 3. Right? Used cars was even less. When I entered the car market in the late 80s, right? 5 years was the number. 5. Now, I don't know. I'm getting my most new cars. What are they? 7 or 8 years now. 7 to 8 years on a new car. And listen, you can make the case, Jason, it needs to be 10 because, I mean, the way car prices are going. And again, I would say this. This would be something that I think would help housing dramatically if they went to a 40-year. The problem is these guys are dumb. It's not going to happen. I actually am now, when I was in Jason's camp, I don't know. I think housing is going to hang in there. It's not going to hang in there. Patriot Radio News. That's just my call. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back after the break. (800-951-0592). We got 8 rolls of the BU quarter special. So remember, we got 3 10th-ounce American Gold Eagles, 1 roll of BU quarters at $9.50. We have 8 of those packages left. And then we have the other package, 3 1/10-ounce American Gold Eagles with our $50 rolls. Those are at $970. And we've got a couple hundred of those available at 800-951-0592. And Jason, this is just my perspective out here. Right? I'm not an expert in real estate. I hear all the, I get all the talk out there. This is just simple math. So I went to realtor.com, okay, and said, hey, show me all the houses listed for sale. They had to be an existing house, not a condo. I didn't say no condos, no townhouses, an existing single family home, any price. 1,702 came up. Then I said, okay, give me that same criteria. Any home, single family, not a condo, not a townhouse, single family home in Scottsdale that has sold in the last 30 days. Pretty simple search. You guys can do it for yourself. 1,702 for sale. According to realtor.com, now this is realtor.com's number, 15 sales in the last 30 days. Just quick, I had to use a calculator because I went to public school. That's a 113-month supply. So I don't know what they're talking about houses are on the market for 33 days. I don't know what that means. But I will tell you, because I've been watching the market here in Arizona, an incredible amount of homes have come on the market. And like I said, early in January, things were selling. Jason, that stopped.
I think that's happening all over the country, actually. What I think is what I'm getting worried about, Joe, as far as how bad this can get, is during the Depression, and especially when we got into the 1930s, farmers were producing food, but nobody was buying. Nobody had any money, and the food would just sit in the fields and rot because it just costs so much to plant and grow the food. And if no one's going to buy it, then farmers just gave up and they just walked away from the field, just like people walked away from the houses in 2008. The builders, like you said, the new builds are going way down, Joe, it's because nobody can buy it. And the builders are not going to sell it for less, obviously, than it costs to build it. I saw a number. I was digging on the commercial break. This is last year's number, estimated for a 2,500 square foot house to build $485,000. And then you got to make a little profit. So you're talking $500,000. The buyer has to come in at 20% with $200,000 or $100,000. Excuse me. It's completely unaffordable. And so I think what we're going to see, Joe, is the housing market's going to tighten up. I think you're going to see what you're talking about, Joe. Things are going to tighten up. Housing prices will probably drop some. And then I think this inflation just keeps on roaring. And then at some point, people need houses. And unfortunately, no matter what, the people are going to need houses. And when the houses start to sell again, just because out of necessity, I think you see the housing prices start to blow up. But this is going to be in the future. Maybe a year or two down the road.
Disagree. Don't see that at all, because let me tell you right now, you want to buy, and I'm talking about $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 mortgage payment on a $1 million to $1.5 million. That's worth 20% down. You don't got 20% down. You got 10%. Hey, I got $100,000 to put down. Yeah, that payment ain't $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. That's $8,000 a month. It just doesn't. The math doesn't work. Listen. They created this bubble. They put interest rates to zero for 15 years.
Yep.
And then here's what really happened. In 2020, they threw money at everybody. Those PPP loans, everybody's filling them out, getting more than where they were actually making. And home prices, listen, home prices here in Arizona, I'm not kidding, have doubled since 2019. Doubled. That means a $1.2 million house for $600,000. It's got to go back to $600,000 for people to be able to make a payment. Or to your point, Jason, we got to have a longer time. 30 years wouldn't be long. I don't know what that would even look like.
That all depends on how much pain the banks have. If the banks get a severe amount of pain, let's say the big banks are in the crosshairs. You know, hey, some Lehman Brothers events might be coming, and the banks, the big banks, not the central banks, but the big banks need to save their highs. I think they would go there just to get payments rolling in, to get those those monthly payments in. But if the big banks are not in trouble, Joe, or not severely in trouble, then I don't think they come out with the longer mortgage. They'll just let people suffer. So it's just a bad situation all around.
Explain it to me. I know, listen, of the existing home sales, 30% of them were all cash. If you're paying all cash, you don't care about payment.
Right.
You don't care. But we're down to an annual rate of $4 million. I mean, we're talking, we're closing in, we're getting really close to the financial crisis housing numbers. That's how bad 4 million is. And again, rates continue to go higher, which just means so the real, things are coming back. If your house has been on the market for more than 60 days, the buyer, they're getting 10% off the listing price. Guess what? Unfortunately for you, because interest rates have gone so much higher, your payment's still more expensive than it would have been before. That's the problem. They got to go a lot lower than that. 800-951-0592. Buckle up. 2023 is going to be a really, really weird ride. (800-951-0592). Still got a few of those. I can't believe it. I thought those BU quarter packages, I thought they would be gone in like 30 seconds, but we got a few of them left. You get 3 10th-ounce American Gold Eagles and a roll of 40 BU quarters at $9.50. And then we have the 3 1/10-ounce American Gold Eagles and the roll of $half. We got hundreds of those at $9.70 at 800-951-0592. I do have to point this out. Both Walmart and Home Depot said they are going to continue to raise pay for the low-end jobs. Both of them, I think Walmart said $14 to $17. Home Depot says that everybody at any of their stores, regardless of what state they're in, will make it a minimum of $15. Hey, that doesn't help you buy a house. That's certainly, you're not getting 20% down making $15 an hour. Just not going to happen. But the need for those types of jobs, Jason, is still there. We did get flash PMI. Same thing from them, saying that wages, they're still having to pay more money to try to get people, Jason.
Yeah, and the bigger companies are going to take advantage of raising the wages because they can squash the competition. The small hardware stores, which still do exist once, here and there, they're not going to be around very much longer because the big box stores will pay more, Joe. So it's
again, that's not good for just not good for interest rates. That's all. That's all I'm telling you. Wages, a big part of the issue here. And Jason, we don't differ that often. We really don't. And here's the sad part. I don't know. My guess is if we kept track of our differences, it's probably 50-50. Because, right? I mean, it really is. I mean, I could be dead wrong. I absolutely could. But I'm just telling you, I'm looking at this thing really hard. because I'm one of those guys. I'm waiting for the big price drop because I want to get in. Right? That's what I'm looking at. So maybe I'm trying to, wishful thinking it. But that's just what I see. But I don't know, right, Jason? Because we've differed in the past, and literally, it's probably 50-50 between the two of us.
Well, I think you're actually right. I think prices are going to come down, and maybe very significantly, depending what market you're in. We just haven't dealt with inflation. Inflation is the thing that even in your career on Patriot Radio News Hour, you've not dealt with extreme inflation, and it makes everything hard to understand. I mean, it blurs the vision of what's supposed to be going on. I mean, look, if your house price and the markets go flat and go sideways, and you have essentially 15% inflation, you're losing money. We're having a housing crash already, Joe, with the housing prices just staying the same the last 2 years. This is already a housing crash. It's already a housing crash. It's just that the inflation just blurs it, Joe. I think the housing crash is upon us. We're seeing it. It was happening last year because housing prices stopped going up and the price of everything else went up. That means your house is losing money.
Point. Really good point. Today, as an example, the existing home sale number, year over year, home prices were up 1.3%. So that's by far, right, the smallest we've seen. And chances are February's number, we may see the first time in a while, years, where we see a negative housing price year over year start to trickle in. So to Jason's point, well, you're losing a lot. If you're just staying flat, you're losing. We'll have to watch it all. 800-951-0592. Pick up those specials because they really are. They're great prices. We'll be back. Jason and I, we're going to be back with the half-empty cup, and I think we got Chris Lewis today. Should be a great one.